Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the video. This is a paid request this time for Jonathan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Shriek, if you know what I did last Friday the 13th from 2000. I mean, this is pretty damn bad. I can't say this is pretty damn bad. Is the worst movie ever? I mean, sure, I would watch this over Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, but not by much. I mean, technically this was being made, I think, before Scary Movie or during the same time as the first Scary Movie. So it's not a ripoff of the first Scary Movie, it's just they were being made around the same time. It just, I think the first Scary Movie had come out by the time, had come out before this though. So it looked like the much lesser of the two, and then the fact that it went straight to video. Maybe there was talks of putting in the theaters, but yeah, it did deserve to be in theaters. It is, of course, a parody of Scream, and I Know We Did Last Summer. Really nothing on Friday the 13th. They just put it in there because I just to make the title more wacky. I don't even know how to talk about it because it's a parody movie, and is it that funny? No. The cast is interesting because you got Julie Benz. She's not the lead, but she's kind of the... If I Know What You Did Last Summer, you have the Sarah Michelle Gellar role. That would be her role in this. She was in Rambo 4. She was the girl that Rambo was saving and wanting to protect in Rambo 4. So she's in this film. Harley Cross, I'm sitting there going, why do I recognize that name? He was the kid in the beginning portions of The Fly 2, and he was in that film The Believers with Martin Sheen, which I think is a pretty good movie. He's pretty much our lead. Coolio is in this, may he rest in peace, as the administrator formerly known as Principal. This is around the time when Prince was the artist formerly known as Prince. So it's Coolio trying to pretend to be Prince. And he appears like 3 or so times. Simon Rex, he's kind of the Ron Philippe role from I Know What You Did Last Summer. Which is interesting because he would later be in Scary Movie 3 and 4. Maybe he was in 5, I can't remember. Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, she's the Cordy Cost role in Scream. It's funny as it's going to be a parody of Scream, but there's nobody that's really in the Nev Campbell role. Because it is trying to be this Scream I Know We Did Last Summer cross. And those are the two they're parodying the most. I mean, the opening is absolutely a parody of Scream, A Voice, Do You Like Scary Movies? And the joke is, she says, you mean like Spike Lee movies? Now, I'm not a fan of Spike Lee movies, so I kind of appreciate they not Spike Lee. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, that seems really random to say, you like scary movies? You mean Spike Lee movies? I'm like, what are the movies he did at the time that... It's like I don't like Spike Lee movies, but at the same time I don't get the joke either. I did like Inside Man was Spike Lee. I did like that one. But anyway. So there's a chase that happens and she runs accidentally to a bud zapper. But then the killer, he has... I guess there was going to be a Jason Voorhees mask, but they would have been sued, so it's like a regular goalie hockey mask. He accidentally burns it, it melts to a ghost face type of mask, and that's the joke with that. You're introduced to our characters. And this is what I'm talking about with the writing of the film, the humor of the film. These are the name of the characters. Barber, prime suspect. Stab O'Beef. Boner. Doughy. Doughy is the David Arquette type of role from Scream, and it's played by Tom Arnold. And honestly, Tom Arnold is like one of the better actors in the movie. And it's not random stuff. Chucky or a kid looking like Chucky appears randomly. Randomly, our five main characters walk like Reservoir Dogs, and there's a song similar to Reservoir Dogs playing. They're in class, and the teacher's asking random questions like, "Who could tell me if Frankenstein was circumcised?" Each one of the characters has a flashback. I know what he did last summer, and they keep flashing back to that, and that got to be a tired gag, running gag. Because each time they look back on, they hit a deer, but each time they're acting like the other characters are acting completely different because of how that person out of the flashback views his friends or her friends. So Boner is the geeky guy. In the flashback, he imagines that everybody loves him. Julie Benz, when she has a flashback, she imagines that everybody's worshiping her. And they hit this deer and they throw it off, but then the thing that they regret is, like, Boner did not put this letter in, and his brother was in jail, and because of that his brother got electrocuted. Or was it Julie, one of them, I think it's maybe the other girl, they're supposed to give these pills to their aunt or grandma to make her poop better, but she didn't. I forget what the other ones were. It just wasn't that funny. And that's kind of the tough thing. If humor is subjective, what I think is funny, you may think otherwise, and vice versa. It's hard to explain, well, why isn't it funny? Yeah, one forgot to give X-Lax. Well, another running joke is that they'll be in broad daylight, and the killer keeps grabbing people and driving them away, but no one notices. Other recognizable people, the mom and the Partridge Family's in this as the lunch lady, and it's funny because she gives such euphemisms, but it's the mom from the Partridge Family doing it. Artie Lane's in it as the swim coach. One of the kids is named Dawson, Harley Cross's character, and so him and this girl he likes are going to dinner, and the guy goes, "Dawson, party of five, Raw Network." Like, these are the jokes you have. These are the fucking jokes you have, and it just, like, Dawson has a flashback to that night where some guy made him dress up like a deer. I'm like, what is this, a precursor to Tusk? Maybe his drug-induced mind, Tim Smith somehow saw this film, didn't remember it, but somehow this bit got put into his head, and then when he saw this other thing on his podcast, he put two and two together subconsciously and made that shitty film Tusk. I still rather watch this film than Tusk, I'll say that, but some guy made Harley Cross's character dress like a deer, and he ran off. The guy farted in the fireplace, and there's an explosion. And because he was in the outfit, he was the deer that got hit, and he was put into the water. The few bits of humor that worked for me, there's two that I thought were kind of funny. One was, and it's only because I was around during this time. Like, when this film came out, I was probably 17 years old. well, 16, 17 years old, depending, of course, what month this came out. But, well, actually, yeah, about that time. Anyway, the thing is, there's a Mentos reference. I remember those commercials. Mentos, ba da 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 da. Mentos, the fresh maker. So they do one where deaf grows better, deaf grows better. So they do that, and she's taking Mentos, or in this case called Dentals, as a theme like Mentos. Again, I only chuckled at that just because it gave me a nostalgia. Oh my god, I remember that commercial type of thing. That's the only reason I really laughed at that. Another is Simon Rex. He's in the car shop and he tries to do grease lightning like John Travolta did. And he gets up and he starts singing, but the other guys, they call him some names and they leave. And he goes, well, of course it's stupid if no one else sings. That kind of made me laugh a bit. And then they kind of just throw in whatever they can at the wall and see what works. Like there's a reference to Christine. Granted, at least it's horror and not Grease. But yet that was one of the ones that made me laugh. But a car that looks like Christine's coming after him, and it's the dad where he's streaming, but the car keeps coming, then he's streaming, and car keeps coming, then he's streaming. I'm like, okay, the third time it worked, but it keeps going. So it goes from, to, oh, that's kind of funny, and then it keeps doing it more, and it's like, okay, now you kind of lost the joke, buddy. Probably the only other thing I thought was kind of clever was, like in Scream, where Jamie Kennedy goes, we're in a horror movie. Here, the girl goes, we're in a parody situation. Number one, exaggerate everything. Number two, accept the ridiculous as logical. Number three, unlimited absurdity. So I kind of like that they did that. I wish they could have done more with that, with characters knowing that they're in a parody, and how would like a real person act if they were in a crazy parody. I think maybe that could have been a better script and a better, funnier, wittier movie. Like if you were in a horror parody, but you know you're in a horror parody, how would you act? How would you react? How would you try to survive? Or you'd be nonchalant because it's a parody, but wait a minute. There are people who die of parodies. It's just they laugh at you for while it's happening. But that's something that I think they could have done a lot more with a stronger screenplay. Instead, we have some pretty goofy kills. Simon Rex, he took too much steroids and his head explodes. Or we have a chase where our two leads, Harley Cross and this other girl, they're chased by the killer. And remember pop-up video? For those who don't know, there's a time when they would show music videos, but then they have these pop-up throughout it to give you information about the song or the music video. The thing is, it was fun for a bit, but people get annoyed because they go, I want to see the actual music video, get this shit off. If it's a choice, that's one thing, but they would have like maybe a block where, okay, here's the pop-up video versions. Now there'd be people watching going, what the fuck is that? What's that reference to? So the chase scene's playing up and all these pop-up balloons are telling information, and people going, what the fuck is that? Oh, there's this thing called pop-up video at the time that, I don't know if that stands the test of time. It makes the film seem dated. And while this is going on from time to time, you see Tom Arnold trying to play kissy face with Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, which just seems like a weird pairing. And Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, she was from Saved by the Bell, among other stuff. So, long story short, there's this dad where they find the mask and they take it off. And they take like 100 off. And they even get bored with it. And they find out it's another Tom Arnold. The evil version. Evil twin cousin. So. It's one of those movies where maybe some people could watch it and get just some little teeny tiny bit of nostalgic fun out of it. And they're definitely trying to throw as many gags as they can, but a lot of them are pretty lazy. It's really not that funny. A lot of it's groan inducing. Like I said, there's a certain level of nostalgia of because of the time it was made and the jokes that only worked during that time, and even then they weren't that funny. Like I said, how many people, if you didn't know much and you're like, okay, this is a comedy, you know Stream, you may even know I Know You Did Last Summer, but that said, you watch this, are you don't know what the fuck Coolio is doing and why he's called the administrator formerly known as principal? You know, are you don't know when people walk in slow mo? I guess they should because Reservoir Dogs is pretty popular, but some may not get put those two and two together. Or people don't get the Mentos commercial joke, or people don't get the pop-up video joke. Even the Dawson Party of Five, Raw Network, there'd be people going, what the fuck does that mean? So it's definitely a movie that's dated. Part of me, it's kind of fun in a bad way to see that because I was in that time period. So it's like almost like little teeny bits of nostalgia trips, but as a whole, the writing just isn't there. I mean, for parody, you do much better with Airplane, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, Hot Shots Part 2, The Naked Gun, or Scary Movie 1 and 2. I think Scary Movie 1 was a bit more focused, and the jokes, there are some, but there didn't seem as many that were as dated as this one. And I think the Wayans, they brought a sense of energy to it that this felt a little bit lacking. And Steer Movie 2 I actually rather enjoy. I mean, compared to Steer Movie 3, I don't know. 4 and 5, I would say I'd rather watch this. Just because those little bits I mentioned. But it's not a good parody. I would say if you see the poster, you see the cast, it's a short enough film. Even if you don't like it, there's maybe that sense of bewilderment, curiosity you're watching on. Okay. Because again, it is one of those they try to throw as many jokes as they can. Because they figure if 1 or 2 or 3 didn't work, maybe 4 and 5 will. But, I don't know. It's one of those that I think when I first saw this back in the day, I'm like, eh. Now it's like, it is pretty bad, but maybe some people get some nostalgia out of it. I don't know. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.